What is going on, everyone? Welcome to G-Ball Vision, your daily source for knife and EDC content. Today, I have a new knife here to share with you all, and this one is coming in from Real Steel. And I don't believe, and I could be wrong, I don't think I've seen this knife anywhere else just yet. This is going to be their Delta knife, and I think they call it the Delta 2600. At least that's the series. I think that sounds cool. Either way, Delta or Delta 2600. And this is a Poltergeist Works design. So they've had quite a few come out with Real Steel, but they've had a bunch come out over the last year or so with a bunch of different companies. And I really like this particular version. They do have a couple of different options you can choose from. I think 3 or 4 different ones. I think they have a raw titanium and then a couple different ones with different inlays and colors. I like this natural micarta look. We have a full titanium handle here, and then a nice big body and lanyard screw combo here. And then that's going to match our pivot. That's an interesting way to do that. We'll have to take a look at that here in a moment. We have a thumb disc for deployment, and then we're looking at a milled titanium clip there. And then that natural micarta is on both sides. Ooh, that's got a nice strong detent. That's on washers, guys. And I wasn't sure. I know that they often do washers. That's going to be on washers, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'll take a look or I'll pop it up on your screen. But I think that's going to be on washers. So that's going to get even smoother. That's got a nice strong deployment to it. We do have some jimping running up our spine here. Stonewashed finish on that drop point blade. S35VN, 60 to 62 on the HRC. I have had a ton of experience with their S35 and everything I've put my knives through and everything that I have seen. Their S35 is good to go. I like this little knife right here. It's one of those knives where even if you have a larger hand, because of this big, generous choil, it's going to allow you to get a full grip on this thing and have a little bit of room to actually spare because of how that handle is designed. My hand's 4 inches, maybe a little bit more from side to side there, and I can get a full grip, XL glove, and I don't have a massive hand, but decent size, and I can get a nice comfortable grip on there. As far as the standard grip back here, going to be a 3.5 finger, probably squeeze up on there and get kind of a 3.5. But that's where, if you're going to use this, that's where you're going to live pretty much, is in that choil area anyway. I do like this design. I'm not much for, like, this would be even better in a larger platform. That's just my opinion. But there's lots of people who really like this size. And that exact size is going to be 6 and 5/8, we'll call it, and then about 2.5 inches of cutting edge, and then 2 3/4 of total blade. So that is specific to me, at least. This is made and designed so that anyone can pretty much get this anywhere. There might be one exception. I'm talking in the United States. There might be a few exceptions where they have a 2.5 inch and under. This could be an issue, but in most places, this will work in a 3 inch and under area. Of course, if you are unsure, that is something you are definitely going to want to check on yourself for your local area. But as far as comparisons go, we have the Bug Out here from Benchmade, the full size, and we have the Kaiser Militao full size here. And you can get a good idea on its actual size in comparison. And we'll bring out the Kaiser Drop Bear up top here and the Vastid Raccoon Bowie here on the bottom. And you'll see that the Delta's a little bit smaller than both of those. We'll take a look at this knife and see what it looks like in the pocket, and we'll check our retention here. And good retention there over the initial ramp. And that's going to carry nice in the pocket. There'll be just a tiny bit poking out there, and that is going to look clean in the pocket. Nothing going on with the clip. Very simple, elegant. It's got a nice ramp to it to get over the seam of your pants. Of course, you're not going to probably fit this on extremely thick seams, but those are far and few between, and really good retention on the way out. It's not overdone. Yeah, it's not overdone. That's going to work really well. I like that clip. Going to be right hand carry only for this particular knife. Let's go ahead and we'll get a weight check on this feller. And we'll bring out the arch nemesis here and give this thing the old check. Yeah, I have plenty of their frame lock, liner lock knives, crossbar lock knives that have all had washers. And with good use, man, do they break in and get very smooth and droppier. This is already nice and smooth, but as that breaks in, the action's just going to get better and better. The detent's nice and strong for that disc. Some people will like that, some people won't, but that's just the way it goes with everything. As far as our weight goes, three ounces, I'll say. 3.1, and we're looking at 90 grams. My daughter thinks that she can get away, or Mini G-Ball thinks she can get away with not cleaning her room up. So we're going to, I don't know if you can hear that in the background or not. We're looking at thickness 0.45 there, so not too thick at all. And as far as our blade stock thickness, let's open this up and get the thickest part that we can. And that's going to be about 124 there on our thickness, our blade stock thickness, and our behind the edge thickness is going to be about 19 thousandths. So I would say across from what I typically see, that's a little under. So coming down there fairly thin. It's not an extremely tall blade, but let's see how this thing cuts out of the box. And we're stuck with the SMKW magazine paper until I can get to the post office to see if they have any more telephone books. Last time I checked, they didn't actually have any, so we might be on to SMKW catalogs, period. And this has a beautiful edge on it. It's one thing that you can, they're gonna have, every company's gonna have their problems. And I get some returns for Real Steel, actually. And some of the knives that get returned, you know, it might be just because they didn't like it or whatever, but some of the returns that I get are just people not either understanding how the knife actually works, whether it's a frame lock or crossbar lock or whatever, or they just don't like it. I would say out of, you know, let's say if we're going out of 10, I would say maybe one of those knives out of 10, and it hasn't been like that many, but let's just say it's a very small percentage that actually aren't up to snuff, right? That aren't the way they should be. It's usually just the person don't like it or whatever. I've had a few where I think like I've had one where the detent ball fell out. And I've seen that happen on $700 USA knives, so that's nothing, you know, nothing big. And then I think one or two where the crossbar lock spring wasn't that strong. But, you know, having knives to compare it with, I knew what it should be, and I knew that that's probably what it was, because I don't actually know why the return is for certain. But what I'm getting at is their quality control is pretty damn good. I've had a ton of their knives over the last year and a half or so, and I mean a ton. And their edges are sharp out of the box. They 99.9% have great lockup, that's really a really good percentage. They always stay locked up no matter the locking system. I think they are a true hidden gem within the knife community. And, you know, there was a point in time where I overlooked Real Steel as well, you know, and other companies for that matter. But until you actually experience a knife or two or a couple knives from a certain company, you're just not going to, know what they're all about. But Real Steel and the designers that they work with, you can tell the designers are building knives for users Real Steel is building the knives for to be users, and it just shows knife design and knife design out. They just Braganowitz, Poltergeist Works, and several other people they work with routinely do a solid job when it comes to making a useful EDC knife. So let's go ahead and check this lock. I'm interested to see what we have here. I don't think we're going to have any issues. There's no play up or down, no detent lash. That thing is nice and strong. Nice and strong. And I think once that breaks in a little bit, like I said, maybe put a drop of oil on each side or a half drop. And, you know, typically I like to let my washer knives break in a little bit before I put oil in there. I've done it both ways, right away and waited. I'd say if you can wait, the longer you can wait and let that break in on its own, the better off it is, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, let's see how this thing holds up to the whacker. Great access to the lock bar there. This is just a nice little secondary here. Kind of a backup knife. Gentleman's type carry. I like this thing quite a bit, even though it is on the smaller side. So let's get this thing out and we'll give it a fair shake here. Yeah, it's nice. It's good. Close it, check it, go to the middle here. Very good. Very good. Yeah. I want to say that I don't know that I've had a Real Steel fail. Other than one that was already broken, that was like a return. Uh, so that's a pretty impressive stat. Like I said, companies, no matter who they are going to have mishaps. And Real Steel has them on a very minute scale. Good edges, like I said. It's going to be dependable. Maybe it won't be your style, but it's going to 99 times out of 100 come out of the box the way you want a knife you're going to carry and use to be. Whether that's their $40, $50 knives or their $200, $300 knives. But I think this is a pretty damn good deal. I know that it's a little smaller, you know, in regards to the size. I think 6.6 or 6.7 on the total, which you know, that's still plenty of edge to get the job done as far as just day-to-day cutting tasks. I think I like this. I like this quite a bit, especially at $130 for titanium S35 VN. Size does not equate to price. I've tried to. Ooh, I got myself. Size does not equate to price. I've tried to tell people that time and time again. And I know there's other creators out there who have said similar things. You know, that's why a Pena is $300 to $400. You know, the size does not equate price. In some terms, in some things, it can add price to something. You know, if we're talking Damascus on a 2.5 inch level or 4 inch, you know, then that's going to add some cost. But when we're talking titanium and micarta or titanium and even carbon fiber, you know, that little bit is not going to do a whole lot when it comes to the cost. The size don't equate to cost. So that's something you have to kind of rid your mind of. There's plenty of smaller knives out there that cost well over $300-$400. So I think this is a good price. You're going to be hard pressed to. There's more and more stuff out there, but this is going to be a pretty damn good deal, especially on a knife that, you know, isn't like on some, you know, sale, discontinued sale or something like that. Really cool knife, and you guys will have to let me know what you guys think of the Delta here. Look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions on this fella right here. And let me know if you have any experience with Real Steel. Love you guys. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Always appreciate that. It helps push the video out there to more people. And if you feel like it, share the video. That really and tremendously helps if you have anyone to share it with. If you're new here and you enjoy knife and EDC content, you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe or click that G-Ball Vision logo popping up on your screen. I'd love to have you here. I'll pop up a couple of new videos. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thank you all again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.